What's up guys and welcome back to Making 2. I am finishing off most of the old what ifs that I got a long time ago, so just keep on sending your ideas for me to use them in the future guys. So this is one of the last few ones that I got some time ago. What if Kushina took Naruto out of the village? So in a world where Kushina Uzumaki survive and taking Naruto away from Konoha, just how would things change? How would the world react to something new, something fearsome, something terrifying? If you want part 2, just go ahead and comment and tell me, and I'll be posting it as soon as possible. And don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. The other channels links will be down in the description, so check them out. Enjoy guys and become a part of the Animaking family. So without further ado or wasting more time, let us begin now. The night air was thick, with death and chakra residue. As Kushina Uzumaki lay on the stone altar, her body trembling with exhaustion, having pushed herself far, far beyond her physical limits. The Ninetales, a constant, a furious companion that has been with her for years, had been recently ripped out of her. The emptiness inside of her chest, it felt like a void, as she knew that the power was what kept her alive the moment it was taken out. Despite the fact that she never needed to survive in the beginning, the moment she lost it, she would die. As she knew now that she was living on borrowed time, it was just her Uzumaki resilience. Her body being a Uzumaki and very special, the only reason why she still continued to draw air. She could hear it, her mind fuzzy and hazy, as her chains held the beast. She was so tired, physically and mentally as well. She had just recently given birth to a child after all. She felt it. She felt it. The awful, dreadful moment as Minato Chakra signature vanished away from the world. She wanted to say his name, but no sound emerged as tears ran down her pale cheeks. Cutting passed through everything, her arms still capable of movement, despite the hell that she's been through. She moved towards him, her baby boy. Naruto, she said. She pulled him into her embrace, wanting to take him away from all of this, wanting to spare him from this hell. The first breath that he ever took in this world was a breath into chaos. And now, he was what she formerly was, a Jinjuliki. She could feel the power still unstable, trying to settle inside of him. The power that she was raised with, the power that she feared, now inside of him. Tears leaped down her cheeks. "Forgive me, Naruto," she said. "Forgive me for being too weak to protect you. Forgive me for leaving you alone in this world," she said. The barrier that Minato had erupted started to flicker in and out. It finally then shattered like glass, completely vanishing away. Soon Hiruzen would arrive. Soon the envoys would swarm this place. Soon Naruto would be taken. He would be the deterrent of Konoha, the Ninetales, the protection standing strong. She waited there, knowing that the extraction was going to kill her. She was living on borrowed time. Where was he? Where was Hiruzen? She wanted to talk to him. She wanted to hear the words out of his mouth that he was going to keep her son safe. However, She felt something. Something that she recognized. Something that should not be possible. It was 4 of them. They materialized like they stepped out of a veil that she could not previously pierce through with her senses. She knew that feeling. It reminded her of someone that she admired rather well. The others, it had been a while since she sensed others like her. But she was quite familiar with the raw intensity of chakra, presence that Uzumaki Mito gave off. And now, she could feel it in her very bones. 4 of them, dressed in black and crimson robes. They surrounded her. One of them, a tall man at the front, his voice carrying authority as he spoke. Now he said, the 4 Uzumakis in perfect synchrony went through hand sign as they slammed their hands down. Their chakra erupted like a geyser of flames, a brilliant crimson, splitting into the sky, twining and combining together, forging a barrier. The barrier materialized like no other, completely sealed shut just like that. It was quick, it was precise. Fuinjutsu on its highest level. Kushina heard it. What the hell is this? The voice of Hiruzen Sarutobi said. As the Anvus were there, Anvus, assess the situation. I need to know what is going on immediately. Hokage-sama, the barrier is too strong, one of them said with a tiger mask. We can't break through. Our techniques can't even scratch it. Keep trying. Kushina and the child is in there. We must. The voice started to fade out. It was like the barrier got thicker and thicker. Kushina could no longer hear what was going on outside. What's going on? What's happening? She thought. One of the Uzumaki, a woman with a complex braid in her hair, knelt beside Kushina. Up close, Kushina could make out the details. Those crimson eyes that were well known in her clan, and that beautiful red hair, similar to hers, bright, vibrant. Her face was kind, but it was lined with worry, as she moved with the precision of an expert medical ninja. Easy now, the woman said softly. Her hand started to glow with diagnostic chakra. You're in no condition to. She stopped abruptly. By the ancestors, she said. She should be dead. The extraction was complete. How is she still? No time for questions, Ayam. The tall man at the front interrupted the woman now known as Ayam. He was the one that had given the first order that said now. His hair was a darker shade of red. It looked burgundy. His eyes had this fierce intensity that reminded Kushina of her mother. We need to begin now. We must start the technique before her body realized that it should have already been stopped. But Takeru-sama, the man was identified as Takeru. The ritual requires. He cut them off. I know what it requires, he said. He moved with a practiced ease as he positioned himself at Kushina's head. The other Uzumakis took movements around her, forming a perfect square. Kushina in the center still holding on to her baby boy. We discussed this. We knew the risks. If we don't act now, we lose her and potentially the child. Let us begin, he said. Kushina wanted to say something. She wanted to demand answers. Who were they? Unfortunately though, the last remaining strength that she possessed was the whole Naruto. She could barely make words as she held on to her baby boy. And it started with a low hum. It was almost like a vibration that came from the very earth itself, rising up within her. The Uzumaki started to chant their words in an ancient dialect. She only knew fragments of what they were saying, a few terms of the oldest scrolls that were in the Uzumaki's library a long time ago. A long time ago. Her clan techniques, her clan secrets, not the watered down version that the world or Konoha believe that they have. These were ancient, these were complex, almost divine. She felt a chill run through her body. She knew that there were some things that her clan had kept, things that were too dangerous to share with allies. The hum grew louder and louder. It transformed into something that resonated in her bones. Chakra pure and ancient. The chakra flew from all four Uzumakis. It was pure, refined. It flew into Kushina, but this chakra was not normal. It felt old and ancient, like it had been kept, restored, and processed over years upon years. Kushina felt the chakra made contact with her depleted reserves, the emptiness that she felt from the nine tails being pulled out of her. It started to disappear. But it wasn't just that. The chakra traveled farther. It became something fundamental. It became something that was beyond physics, beyond spiritual. It reached the very fabric of what made her alive, what made her refuse to give up. The pain was exquisite. Every nerve in her body screamed as the technique took hold, rewriting the rules that said that she should be dying or dead right now, stabilizing systems that should be shutting down, but revitalizing all of them. She wanted to scream out, tell them to stop, but she had no voice to do so. All she could do was hold on as they pour what seems like their very life force into keeping her stable, into keeping her alive. Despite that though, she held on to Naruto softly. Despite the pain, despite the anguish, she bared it all as she held on to him. If this was going to make her live, she would survive. She would be there for him, by his side to raise and protect him, to keep him safe. His tiny heartbeat against her chest kept her vitalized. It gave her the reason to continue on, the reason to never let go. The ritual seemed to be coming to an end, and it seemed to be getting more and more intense. The chakra became so dense it was almost solid. She could feel the conclusion of it all coming to a climax that she wasn't sure what would be the result. That is when she felt something respond inside of herself. The Uzumaki bloodline wasn't about just longevity or massive chakra reserves. There were many older gifts, deeper mysteries that the clan had guarded and kept hidden for centuries. Manipulation of life force itself, the capacity to sense and anchor one existence to life force itself with the sheer stubbornness and will, the birthright that made them unique to contain tail beasts without any repercussion and never truly be consumed by their power or their hate. This technique was not meant to heal her because it needed more than just healing. She was meant to die. They were giving her bloodline the fuel that it needed to heal itself. Ancient natural sealing and chakra that gave her body the natural vitality to restore itself, to make it back into what it was. That powerful part of themselves that was so hard to kill, that was so hard to be destroyed. She felt it. She couldn't believe it. The coldness was going away. The law was one thing. Uzumakis, it didn't matter who they were. If you were a Jinjulke and you had your tail beast removed, you will die. And yet, she could feel the very law of nature be rewritten right here and now. The lights slowly start to fade away, their chanting coming to an end. They look exhausted, their faces pale and tired. The technique took a lot out of them. Kushina could see it, the trembling of their hands, the depletion in their chakra. Takeru stepped forward, despite the obvious stress that put on him a moment ago. His voice was stable. The stabilization is complete. She will live. For how long? Ayam questioned as she gazed down towards Kushina. Long enough, Takeru said. as he looked down towards Kushina, her soft expression. He's also softened a bit, long enough to raise her son, long enough to learn the truth, long enough to decide for herself what comes next, he said. The four Uzumakis looked back at her, all of them, and she finally saw them clearly. Their red hair ranging from crimson to a deep burgundy. Their eyes were all a shade of red or deep purple red, marking them all as her kin. But it was more than that, something in their faces, about their sheer ancestry. They're Uzumakis, real Uzumakis, not survivors who marry into other clan or distant relationship. They were from Uzu. The impossibility of that made her head spin. Uzu had fallen years ago. Everyone knew that. The great village where the Uzumakis reside, once proud and powerful, had been destroyed by a coalition of villages that fear their sealing techniques. She had been sent to Konoha before that, so she had survived. But the Uzumakis were wiped out. She was the last survivor. Konoha would have known. She would have known if there were other Uzumakis out there. Unless... We need to move, Tekeru said, breaking through her thoughts, as he turned towards a man that couldn't be much older than Kushina. Hidaki, he said, prepare the seal. We need to be gone before the Hokage break through the barrier. Hidaki nodded as he started to pull out a scroll from within his robes. He laid down on the ground beside Kushina. It was a complex sealing array that made her eyes widen despite the exhaustion that she was currently feeling. She recognized that elements of it was based on the Flying Thunder God technique, but modified in ways to suggest that it could teleport multiple people at once without the need of placing markers. Space-time ninjutsu on this scale should not be possible. The chakra requirements alone should be insane. But then she remembered the technique that they just performed on her. She realized that she was dealing with shinobis on a much higher caliber. Wait, the voice of Ayam said gently as she knelt and adjusted Naruto in Kushina's arms. Let her see that we mean her no harm. Let her see that we only wish the best for her before we take her away from everything that she ever knew. Tekeru frowned, but nodded. He knelt down, and when he spoke, his voice did not carry the same authority. His voice possessed this gentle kindness now that made him seem like an old sage as he spoke to her. Kushina Uzumaki, he said, I know you're frightened. I know that you're confused. I know that you have no reason to trust us. But look at us, all of us, he said. What is it do you really see? Kushina's eyes moved from face to face. Red hair, red eyes. The features of the Uzumaki clan standing out proud and pronounced. The way they moved, the way they held themselves. Her senses telling her that it could not be fake. We are Uzumakis, Tekeru said, like you. We survived the fall of Uzu, but not in the way that history recorded. And we have been watching you, waiting from afar, waiting and watching for the right moment. When we became aware of the nine-tail extraction, we had to speed up our plans and act immediately. We couldn't allow you to die. We couldn't let your son grow up in a village alone that would exploit him as a weapon and value him only for being a weapon, their military might. The words struck her deep as she held on to Naruto even tighter. There were fears that she had, fears that she suppressed with Hiruzen, even Minato as well. You have nothing to fear from us, Ayam added, her hand resting gently on Kushina's shoulder, showing that they could be trusted. We're taking you somewhere safe, somewhere you and your son can recover, and when you're strong enough, we shall explain everything. Kushina wanted to refuse. She wanted to demand that they take her back, leave her where she was, knowing that Hiruzen would arrive soon enough. However, them being alive, their very existence had questions that she wanted to be answered. Why had these Uzumaki appeared? How had they known about the extraction? And most disturbingly, if they had survived, if they had been watching, why they never revealed themselves to Konoha? Konoha and Uzu were supposed to be allies. From the marriage between Mito and Hoshirama Senju, there was supposed to be a union. Konoha even wore their symbol on the back of their flak jackets. She nodded her head. Hideaki, now, Takeru said. The younger Uzumaki went through hand sign. As chakra erupted around all 6 of them, the 4 Uzumakis, Kushina and baby Naruto, the sensation was different. She's never felt this before. It was abnormal, it was strange. It wasn't the instant movement of the flying thunder god. It felt like she was being pulled through layers of reality itself. Like there were different segments that they were going through one after another. The last thing she heard was Hiruzen's voice, seeming to break through some weakness in the barrier. Kushina, hold on! We're coming! And then, Konoha was gone. It seems like her body was finally giving up. What restored her took so much more energy to stabilize her. She felt strong the moment it happened, but now she was exhausted. She slipped in and out. She felt water being brought to her lips. But if there was one thing that she did not let go, it was Naruto. She constantly felt his heartbeat. She dreamt of Minato alive. He's smiling towards her. As they planned for the future, looking down at their innocent baby boy. But then, chaos erupted. She watched as he performed the seal that would cost him his life. She cried in her dreams. No, please stop, she said. Please, she begged. She needed to be stronger. She needed to be stronger to pull the Nine Tails back in. To save him, to save everyone. The dreams then shifted back to her clan. Her home. She was only 5 years old when she left. The memory of it all was faded and in the past. She remembered the fresh breath of the sea. Her mother's laugh. Her father's voice encouraging her. She remembered all. Then she remembered the news reaching her. Hearing about the destruction. The evisceration of her people. The complete devastation of her land. The words that Takeru had said to her before they left resonated through her mind. We survived the fall of Uzu, though not in the way that history recorded. What could that possibly mean? How did they survive? And why? Why did they never come for her? And that is when she finally came back. She didn't know how long it has been, but she woke up. The first thing she felt was the lavender sheets, soft and silky. Her eyes snapped open. The room, modest size, a wooden wall around her. Traditional construction, it seems. The sunlight coming through the window. The air was soft, pleasant. She could see the subtle seal works in the wall. However, she immediately pulled herself up, only to realize that her body was still weak, weaker than she thought. She tried though. Naruto, immediately, her mind started to panic. He was no longer in her arms. Her baby boy, Naruto, she said. He had to be here. They couldn't have taken him. They couldn't have, she said, constantly looking around, searching every part of the room with her eyes. She became dizzy as she tried to find him. Maybe she was still out of it, as she hadn't even realized. As someone spoke, easy, easy. Your baby is safe, Kushina-san. I promise. Kushina turned too quickly and nearly toppled over, the woman sitting in the chair moving in. As Kushina stabilized herself, the woman had longer red hair than even her own, tied in 2 separate braids. Her eyes purple. It was unmistakable. This was another Uzumaki. Her age was hard to determine. Thus, for most Uzumaki, she could be anywhere from 30 to 50. They were special that way. And in her arms was the baby, wrapped up and sleeping peacefully. "Give him to me." Kushina's voice came out raspy, her throat still recovering. "Give me my son." "Of course," the woman said, gently, passing the boy with no hesitation. There was no ulterior motives, no reason for her to hold on to him. Kushina. She took him in her arms, feeling that spark as she held him. He was clean, dressed in a fresh clothing that she did not recognize. His cheeks rosy. He was smiling and sleeping peacefully, almost like he was dreaming about something wonderful. He had been fed and changed regularly, the woman said. "You've been drifting in and out for a few days now. I hope you don't mind I took care of him while he recovered. I have some experience taking care of infants," she said. She questioned the woman how long exactly. 5 days. 5 days, Kushina mind went through the information. 5 days since that terrible night. 5 days since she lost Minato. 5 days. She released a breath. She looked towards the woman. "Where am I?" she said. "Who are you?" She questioned, demanding some answers. She wanted to know everything. The woman looked at her for a long moment. "My name is Kari Uzumaki. You're in a safe location away from Konoha. Exact coordinates will be explained later, if you choose to stay. And we took you because you're family, Kushina-san. We couldn't just leave you to die. And we couldn't let them turn your son into another weapon," she said. You mean Konoha?" Kushina's voice sharpened. "The village that gave me a home when my own home fell," she said. "The village where my husband just gave up everything, including his life, to protect everyone." Anger started to bleed into her tone. "How dare you? I understand your loyalty." Kiri interrupted gently. "But before you condemn us, before you demand to return, please, listen to what we have to say. Listen to the truth of what happened to our clan. Listen, why we stay hidden for so long." The woman leaned forward. Kushina was caught off guard by the intensity in her gaze. "Listen to the role that Konoha played in the demise of Uzu," she said. Kushina was confused. That's impossible. Konoha was our ally, the strongest alliance in the shinobi world. They would never. Wouldn't they? Kiri's voice was sad, rather than accusatory. "Tell me something, Kushina-san. When Uzu fell, how many Konoha shinobi came to our aid? How many reinforcements did the Hokage send to save our village?" Kushina opened her mouth to say something, but she stopped. She did not know. She was a child, sent away before the attack. She didn't truly know the full details other than what she was told. But now that she thought about everything, nothing mentioned Konoha forces aiding Uzu while they were being destroyed. They spoke of the village being caught off guard, multiple nations attacking at the same time. But she looked up. I don't know." "Don't answer now," Kiri said. "You are still recovering, and this is simply too much to process. Please, wait until you meet with Takeru-sama and hear what he has to say. Learn the truth about our clan's fate first." She stood as she moved, as she paused at the door. "There is fresh food and water on the table on the right side of your bed. Eat slowly. Your body is still adjusting. I'll be back in a few hours to check on you." "Wait," Kushina called out. Kiri stopped, but she did not turn as Kushina spoke. Why does your chakra feel so familiar? I never met you before, but I'm certain there is something. Kiri looked over as there was a deep, long sadness in her eyes. Think about it, Kushina-san, she said. Think about who you lost. Think about who you never got to know because they were taken away from you too soon. Then she was gone, the door closing behind her. Kushina was left with so much questions. The name sounded... No, it wasn't a name, she thought to herself. There was just something that she couldn't put her finger on. But all of this was just so much of a mystery. All of it. And what truth about Konoha could be so... No. She pushed it away. She pushed it away for now. She was too weak for this. Too emotionally raw. Minato's death was still fresh in her heart. And with the 9 tails just being extracted. And now she was being questioned. And her mind was spinning. Questioning everything she ever knew about Konoha. No, not now. She needs to recover as fast as possible. So that she can protect Naruto and keep him safe. However, the seeds of doubt were already sowed into her mind. It wasn't something that she could just forget about. She looked down towards Naruto and tears started to gather. I'm so sorry, she said. She said, looking down towards him. I'm sorry that you were born in such a complicated world. I'm sorry your father is not here to protect you. I'm sorry. I don't know what the right choice is anymore, she said. His tiny hand raised, as it flexed like newborn did, opening and closing. She held a finger out as he wrapped around it with surprising strength. She felt nothing about the villages, politics, clan, nothing like that. All she felt was a deep love, a deep sense of wanting to protect her baby boy. As she smiled down towards him. I'll protect you, she said. No matter what the truth turns out to be, no matter what I have to do, you are my son, and I'll keep you safe no matter what. The door opened several hours later. Kushina had managed to eat some of the rice and vegetable that was left for her, but her stomach still protests, even at the small amount. She also fed Naruto. She was relieved that her body was still producing milk, despite all that she's been through. Feeding him felt natural and it gave her a sense of calm. She expected Kiri to return, but she was not the one that returned. As 4 figures entered the room, the same 4 figures that saved her life. Takeru led the way, as he still had that tiredness about him, but a bit more energetic more now. Ayam followed, her medical expertise showing as she immediately assessed Kushina with a glance. Hideaki came next, the youngest of the group, staying behind the others. And finally the 4th person. Kushina did not get a good look at that one before, but it was a woman, with a scar across her cheek. Kushina Uzumaki, Takeru said, I'm glad to see you awake and recovering. His voice was formal, but not unkind. May we speak with you, he said. She shifted Naruto in her arms, making sure that he was secured. As she spoke with as much firmness as she could muster. I want answers, now, she said. No cryptic statements, no delayed, drawn-out explanation. I want to know what exactly is going on. Who are you people? Where am I? And what does it have to do with me and my son, she said. A ghost of a smile crossed Takeru's face. You remind me of your mother, he said. She had that same fire, that same refusal to be intimidated. He grabbed a chair and sat, the others standing firm there as well. Very well, he said. No more delay. You deserve the truth. He took a deep breath, and when he spoke again, his voice carried a weight of long held secret. My name is Takeru Uzumaki, he said. I was a jonin of Uzu, specialized in barrier technique. and sealing arts. 23 years ago, I watched our village fall. He gestured to the others. We all did. Ayam was our head medical ninja. Hidaki was barely a genin at the time, one of our most promising prodigy in the sealing arts. And Naomi, he said, indicating the scarred-faced woman. She was the captain of our envoy. Kushina spoke. If you survive, she said, then why didn't you go to Konoha? Why didn't you reveal yourself? There are so few Uzumakis left. We should have. Naomi cut her off. Because Konoha betrayed us, she said. Her tone was harsh as she spoke, a glimmer in her eyes. Because the village that you call home is built on the ashes of our people. Because the alliance that you trusted was a lie. Kushina spoke up. That's not. Takeru raised a hand, stopping them. Peace, Naomi, he said. Let me explain properly, he said, turning back to Kushina. What do you know about the fall of Uzu, he questioned. Kushina frowned. Multiple people attacked at the same time. They feared our sealing techniques, our knowledge. They wanted to prevent us from creating weapons that would tip the power forever. The attack was swift and brutal. Majority of the clan died defending the village. The handful that may have survived spread across the elemental nation. It was a tragedy, not a conspiracy. Takeru nodded. Yes, that is the official version of it. And most of it is even truthful. But there is some critical details that have been left out. He leaned forward. Did you know which village attacked us? Kiri and Kumo, Kushina said, as she recalled from her memories. With support from smaller nations who contribute their forces, it was a coalition that feared our power. Correct, he said. And do you know who coordinate that coalition? Who ensured that all forces would attack at the same time so that they would overload our defenses before we could mount and properly responded? Kushina felt a strain in her stomach as he said the name, Danzo Shamira, the leader of Konoha Root Division, the man who operates in the shadows for decades now, doing the things that the Hokage cannot, the things that he cannot publicly sanction. Kushina blinked. That's... You can't possibly know that. How would you, she said. Because we captured one of his agents during the attack, Ayam said. Alive. We were able to extract enough information before the seal that his place on his own tongue destroyed him. Takeru nodded. Danzo had been secretly negotiating with the other villages for months. He provided intelligence on our defenses, on our patrol schedules, on our most vulnerable locations, where the seal archives and many other locations were. He ensured that Konoha would be too far away to provide any assistance when the attack came. All of this in service of the greater good of Konoha. But why? I don't understand why. Why would he do that? We were allies. We were useful, Naomi said. Useful for sealing knowledge. Useful for containers of the tail beasts. But we were also dangerous. Think of it. A village full of people with chakra reserves and unpredictability when it comes to sealing arts. Our chakra spamming numerous high-level ninja in just one of our members. A clan that had existed for centuries and developed techniques that can counter almost every single attack, even tail beasts. What if we had decided to stop being a passive ally and we became a striving force, competing for resources and other allies as well? What would you think would have happened then? Kushina lowered her head. She knew how the world worked. The world did not wait until anything was fully grown. They disable and dismantle it from the beginning, making sure that it could never reach its full potential, so that it would never be a future threat. Danzo knew what would happen, and he saw the opportunity. Takeru said, if Uza fell, Konoha would inherit the survivors and everything remaining. They would gain access to our techniques, our knowledge, our bloodline abilities. All of it will be fully accessible to Konoha. Secrets that he could never get his hands on. Secrets that the village would have never known. And the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. There would be no opposition to ever have the shinobi return. Konoha would never lose its weapon. They would be stronger than ever. And the survivors, they will have nothing and no one left. What do you think would happen then? Kushina's head was still low. They would be completely dependent on Konoha, she said. Exactly. The room went silent. Kushina looked down towards her son. She wanted to denounce what he was saying. Just survivors wanting to find someone else or something to blame. Yet, everything was just hitting her all at once. As she sat there, looking down towards her baby. She made it. The question that was on her heart. She made it loud. Did the Hokage know? Did he approve this? That we do not know, Takeru said. The agent that we had captured didn't have the information about that. It is possible that Danzo acted on his own. But it is also possible that the Hokage is fully aware of what went on. Because in the end, all of it was for the interest of Konoha. We may never know. But what we do know is, there was no investigation done rather than just simply looking from left to right. No one was punished. Nothing was done. No revenge, no retaliation. No more questions. It was all just swept away like it never happened. Kushina started to cry once more, but these were not the same tears. This was tears of betrayal and personal loss. Hiruzen, I want to believe that he's ignorant, that Danzo kept him in the dark. However, he's been Hokage a long time even before that. Kushina started to remember the numerous times she questioned Hiruzen about Uzu, the past, the things that she could barely remember. It was always the same thing more or less. Focus on your future within Konoha, not on the past that cannot be changed. Not on the past that cannot be rewritten. Focus on a future that you can create. That was always the answer. She needed to hear something else. You said you survived, but how? If the attack was so overwhelming and so perfect, how did you survive, she questioned. Takeru looked towards the others. As he then nodded, I think it's time that we show you. If you would, he said. She pulled out a scroll and unraveled it. Kushina recognized it as a memory, recording seal, used for storing important documents, events, for temporary memory lapse. Ion channeled chakra into it. As the room started to darken, 3-dimension projectiles started to form all around them. As Kushina gasped as she saw the beautiful village in the memory. The architecture that she could barely remember, covered in all sorts of things. The beautiful sunlight basking through the buildings. The luscious river running through the entire village. She smiled at it all. The massive gates that marked the entrance. The seal. The training grounds. All of it so precious. So wonderful. So many people. Radiating with so much light and energy, going about their daily activities, having absolutely no idea what was coming. Kushina then saw it all. The timing was perfect. It had to be planned for a long time. It was more ruthless, more brutal than she could ever imagine. Barrier after barrier fell. The Uzumakis were overwhelmed by numbers. They knew where to strike. They knew where to go. Because Danzo gave it to them. Kushina saw several Uzumaki. As they gathered, they started to form a massive ceiling array in the central plaza. This was our last resort, Takeru said. The temporal displacement seal. It was developed a century ago to protect the clan in case of a catastrophic attack. It was created to teleport everyone within its range to a safe location somewhere, away from the elemental nation, away from where the ninjas would hurt us. Kushina watched as the elders start to pour more and more chakra into the array. The ear itself started to twist and became heavy. It started to become dense and distorted. There was so much power being released. She could see many other Uzumakis, man, woman, and child rushing toward the ceiling array, others holding them off. Aion then spoke. But then something went wrong, she said. The attackers were using critical explosives. The explosions, all of them combined. Power, it was tail beast level. Close to it, maybe. Or even greater than some. And when our elders activate the seal, Kushina looked at the memory as she saw what happened. The bright light filling the entire plaza. Something went wrong as the light started to spread. Instead of all of them, it started to pull others into different directions. Kushina saw it. The space-time disruptions. The technique. It couldn't handle the chakra interference, Takeru said. It split us all up. Across time and space. Most group arrived, but some were suspended. Days. Months, he said. In total, it took 6 months. 6 months? Kushina said. Yes. By the time that we arrived, the world had already moved on. Word had spread. Uzu was completely gone, destroyed, and the official story was put out there. The true memory of what happened gone. It was just a random attack they decided to launch one day, out of their fear of our clan becoming stronger. Kushina sat there, soaking it all in. She saw it. There was a few hundreds that survived. They were so confused. They didn't know what to do now, questioning everything, everyone. We wanted to reveal ourselves, Takeru said. We wanted to go to Konoha to demand answers, but the agent that we captured, information that changed everything. Every single thing about our plan. We realized that revealing ourselves would just put ourselves in harm's way again. And the agent body was gone. Everything. We had no proof. We would just seem like the remnants of a dead clan, trying to take down one of Konoha elders. So you hid, Kushina said. We survived, Aion said. We build a new home far away from any nation. We reserve our techniques, our knowledge. We watched, we waited and prepared. And we kept an eye out on all the other Uzumakis that was in the outside world. Especially you, Takeru said. You were all that we had left in Konoha. The only link to our clan that was there. We wanted to contact you, to bring you here, but you were the Nine-Tails Jinjuriki, constantly monitored. Any attempt would be detected and lead back to us. So you watch, Kushina said. Bitterness was in her tone as she spoke. She couldn't keep it out completely. You watch as I grew up alone, thinking that I was the last of my kind left. You watch while the village used me as a deterrent. The village that might have destroyed our home. And while you fell in love, Kairi spoke up. Kushina hadn't seen her entered. We watch as you build a home. We watch as you were happy, despite everything. Yes, Kushina-san, we watch. And it broke our heart not to intervene. But we had hundreds of survivors to protect. Hundreds of lives that would have been in danger if Konoha discovered our existence. She wanted to argue, but she understood. She was a shinobi. She knew about making tough decisions, tough choices. It did not make it hurt less, but still it still hurt. And she understood as well. So why now, she said. Because of your son, Takeru said. We didn't want him to become the same thing we fear. Another tool for Konoha to use and discard. And we now had the means and time to save you both. Hiding in the shadow. It seems less important at the time, especially when your life was at stake. I won't lie to you. We brought you here partly because you're one of us. And we couldn't let you die. But we also want you to understand what Konoha truly is. Not the village that you grew up believing in, but the real village that make tough and dark choices and dark compromise in the name of survival. And then what, said Kushina. What exactly do you expect from me? To renounce Konoha? To stay here and raise my son in isolation? We expect you to choose. That is what we expect. Kira said as she stepped forward. When you fully recover, when you have time to truly settle down, to truly clear your mind, it will be your choice. Stay with us and we will teach you the truth of it all. About your history, about your clan. We will help you raise Naruto to understand his lineage, to understand his history. We will give you a family once again. Not just survivors, but a true clan. She paused. Or, return to Konoha. We won't stop you. But if you do go back, you would go back knowing the truth. Knowing what the village might have done to ours. Knowing that your son might be shaped into a weapon. Whether you want it or not, that's not fair. You're asking me to choose between my home and my heritage. Between my friends and my blood, she said. Life is rarely fair, Naomi said bluntly. You're a shinobi. You know this already. Kushina looked down as Naruto had waken up. His eyes. Immediately she saw Minato. He was so small, so helpless. Depending on her to make the right choice. Depending on her to do what was right for his future. She couldn't ask Minato, he was gone. And she now was in water that was so murky she couldn't see the bottom. She didn't know. I need time. Time to think, to recover, to... She trailed off. So much emotions. You have it, Takeru said. Take all the time that you need. We're not going anywhere, neither are you, until you fully recover to make it back. If that is a choice that you make on your own. He turned to leave, the others following as well. For what it's worth, I'm sorry, he said. I'm sorry for everything. This impossible choice. I'm sorry that we weren't there sooner. I'm sorry that you had to go through all of this. Alone, he said. Then they were gone, leaving her. As the rays of the sunlight, it washed over her. She looked down towards her baby boy. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to go about this. However, he smiled. And she felt the stress just melting away. She leaned down and kissed him on the forehead. Don't worry. I'll make the right choice, she said. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I will make the right choice. I promise you, she said. Time skip. Kushina did make her choice. He was 6 years old as he stood on a platform, gazing down below. Heat radiated from the stones below. They were special. The stones were molten, not liquid though. He could feel his skin tighten from here. Blonde spiky hair like his father. Even his eyes. The 3 whisker marks standing out rather proudly. This is madness, Kushina said. That was the first thing she had said to the elder when they proposed a training regiment. Because they all saw it. Even from as young as 3 years old. This boy was something else. However, Takeru had said it. He carried the 9 tails. The moment the world learned of his existence, he will be hunted. What would be madness is sending him out unprepared. However, Naruto adopted a lot from his mother. While he could be calm sometimes, he had that fearless, reckless, adventurous side of him. That part of him that would not stop even at this age. I can do this, mother. I'm a Uzumaki after all. We're supposed to be tough, he said, banging a hand against his chest. Thus, the trials began. Walk across. Elder Akira was his name. His hair had turned silver, so that alone should indicate that he's really old. His face was a roadmap of scars. There were some scars not even the Uzumaki healing ability could heal or take away. He's been through a lot. Walk across. Do not run. Do not hesitate. Walk with purpose, or your feet will burn through before you can reach the other side. Naruto took a breath, channeling chakra to his feet just like Ayame taught him. Not too much that would destabilize him, not too little that would leave him defenseless. Just enough a thin barrier between flesh and heat. He proceeded to step on the surface. The pain was instant. Even with the chakra protection, the heat went through his sandals that caught fire and disintegrated within 3 steps. His bare feet touched the stone directly, and Naruto bit down hard. He drew blood from his own mouth to stop himself from screaming. 1 step, 2 step, 3, his skin started to blister. However, his healing ability was so intense. As he got hurt, it reappeared itself. But then, it just went over and over. Naruto step 4, 5. The heat was intense as he moved. Faster, Elder Akira said. Your enemies will not wait until you gather courage. Naruto closed his eyes as he thought of his mother, who survived having a tail beast ripped out of her. He thought of his father that died protecting the village. He thought of the Uzumakis that were pushed to extinction. And his eyes snapped back open. I won't quit. I won't break. I am Naruto Uzumaki, and I am going to be the strongest. He walked straight to the other side. As he did not stop, Kushina and the medical corps was there. She smiled and whispered, You did it, baby, she said. You did it. Naruto looked up towards her. That wasn't so bad, he said. Until Akira spoke up. Again tomorrow at dawn. Naruto looked towards him like he seen a ghost. Time skip. He was now 7 years old. It did not stop. It only got even more intense. The waterfall was specially made, as it came down with the fury of 1,000 storms, not to mention the twisting whirlpools. As Naruto stood in the center right there, the water came down from around 50 feet. It was terrifying. As 7-year-old Naruto stood there without his shirt, meditation under the falls of crushing death. Elder Fumiko said, as she stood there. She had gray hair streaking in her red. Your chakra must remain perfectly controlled even as your body is battered. Your mind must remain clear even as your thoughts are drowned. Begin, she said, as Naruto took position right under the waterfall. The chakra on his bottom of his feet kept him from going into the whirlpool, but the water came down like a hammer made from liquid, solidify 1,000 times over. He was being pushed down. He was losing his focus, losing his stability. Yet, he refused to give up, even as his knees buckled. Fumiko watched as Naruto stood tall. He did not move, he did not blink. He tried. Hours passed by as the sun moved across the sky. Elder Fumiko stepped forward. She grabbed Naruto and pulled him aside. His body had reached its limit a long time ago, but his sheer determination refused to make him give up. She rested her hand on his chest. The next moment, it was like heat rushed through his body as Naruto snapped his eyes open. "How long?" he said. 6 hours, she said to him. "Tomorrow at 8. And the day after at 10, she said. Another day, another horrible session over again, and another day that he survived. Time skip. Naruto was now 8 years old. Naruto stood in the center of a training field. Complex ceiling arrays, he was without a shirt. 5 elders stood around him. Elder Akira had a staff, reinforced with chakra. Elder Fumiko had a baton wrapped in sealing tags. Naomi had sealing-weighted chains. 2 other elders, Elder Goro and Elder Raiko, carry reinforced poles, chakra humming and flowing through them. The iron body technique, Takeru announced from outside the sealing array where Naruto was in. It is forbidden in most modern training because of its brutality. It required the subject to remain perfectly calm and endure the pain while maintaining their chakra flow. There is only 2 options. The body will adapt or it will break. There is no middle ground. Kushina's fists were clenched. She had approved of the training and watched a lot of it, but this was too much. However, it was her son. As she looked into his eyes, that raw determination to never give up, to say that he would never fail. He wanted to do it. "Are you ready?" Takeru questioned. "Always," Naruto said. The seals proceeded to activate. Chakra pressure slammed down on him like the world was trying to crush him in. Before he could properly adapt, Elder Akira whacked him with a staff across his back. It drove him right into Elder Fumiko. As the baton went into his ribs, he staggered, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Yet he smiled. "Is that the best you can do?" The elders, a look of admiration in their eyes. For the next few hours, Naruto was struck from all angles. He had to keep his chakra flow surrounding his body at all times, or the seal would crush him into the ground. He kept it flowing. No disturbance. This one was the worst of them all, and they would continue tomorrow once again. By the end of it, Naruto lay on the ground. "Rest," Kushina said. "Not even most adults could go a minute in that," she said to him. Naruto lay there, holding his mother's hand. "I won't give up, no matter what," he said. His smile, despite after what he just went through. His determination. You might think that he was the only one, but he wasn't. While others have a hard time keeping up with these kind of level of training, there was some serious, intensive training going on in the background. They were not just training him to be the best, but from what they could see, he had the potential to go above and beyond, to become something that they never even thought could ever exist. But you had others close to him in age, some older, proving themselves to be something terrifying as well. Time skip. His goal was to get to the top of the mountain. The problem was chain was attached to his foot and hands. They went into the ceiling array on the ground. At the highest point was Elder Goro. He slammed his hand down, rock formation spiking up. The problem was the moment Naruto jumped, the chains yanked him down. He could not leave the mountain. His feet and hands could not release it, otherwise he would be pulled down further. "Is that the best you can do?" Goro said, looking down with his massive form. "I thought you said you would make it to the top by the end of the day. Or do we have to come back tomorrow?" Naruto started to run. Goro slapped both of his hands down as countless spikes came out. Instead of jumping this time, Naruto ran forward. Chakra formed and funneled through his face. Goro watched as the chakra twists and turned as Naruto headbutted the stone, breaking through it. Goro smiled. before he created a tidal wave coming down that blew Naruto back. But he was smiling though, because he was impressed. Time skip. Now 10 years old, Naruto was training with Elder Fumiko. This was different. This wasn't a physical training. Physical pain he could handle rather well. But it's time that they went mental. When the seal activated, even though he's never been to Konoha, he somehow knew that this was a location. As he stood in the street as he saw the Nine Tails, ripping everything apart, tearing everything to sunders. However, the nine-tailed face was his. That was the most twisted part. This is what you are, Fox Naruto said. A monster, a weapon, an abomination. Something meant to destroy everything that you touch. They're simply waiting for you to realize that, even your own mother, so they can seal you away. You're not real. None of this is real, Naruto said, clenching his fists. Isn't it? The illusion jester. This is what the Nine Tails did. This lives inside of you. How long before you slip? How long before you hurt the people that you claim to want to protect? For a moment, Naruto started to feel doubt creeping in. The Nine Tails was dangerous. He could feel it sometimes. That dark presence in the back of his mind. That rage, that hatred, that destructive power. What if his training was simply making it more powerful because he would be a powerful vessel, an unstoppable force? However, Kushina's words was like a blanket of warmth, caressing him, wrapping around him. You're not the Nine Tails, and you will never be. You are my son, Naruto Uzumaki, and you will never break. It was almost like the illusion was distorted for a moment as Naruto smiled, a calm smile. You're right. About one thing though. I am strong, said Naruto. Strong enough to contain the Nine Tails. Naruto stepped forward. Strong enough to contain all this power without becoming a Uzumaki. Strong enough to step forward without losing myself. I am Naruto Uzumaki, and I shall never fall, he said. The mental stress went on for hours upon hours upon hours. However, each battle, each destruction, each mental grasp, Naruto shattered them all. On the outside, Kushina watches Naruto twitch. He was twitching and turning when suddenly she started to cough. She coughed violently in her hands. They all turned towards her. When she slowly opened her palm, there was blood. She was reminded, all of them were from the beginning, when they first saved her. How long will it hold? Long enough for her to raise her son. Long enough for her to make a choice. When Naruto finally opened his eyes, Kushina enveloped him in a hug. You did it, she said, as he broke through on his own. Naruto smiled as his mother hugged him. But he caught the faint scent of blood, and it confused him. Time skip. Naruto was sitting down. Years had passed by. His hair was much longer now. He spoke calmly. After all these years, it's finally time to make a move, said Naruto. Finally time to step back outside into the world. The world will know of my existence. They will know that I still draw breath. Not just as Kushina Uzumaki's son, but as Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage's son as well. So much has happened while I've been here. So much has happened inside of here and outside in the real world. So many changes are going to happen now. You've always been there. It didn't matter the struggle. It didn't matter the pain that you were going through. Your loss, all you've been through. You've always been there, putting everything aside just for me. And I'm truly grateful for all that you've done, mother, said Naruto. And I promise, I will not let you down. I will never become the monster that the world seek, but I will make through on our promise. I will ensure that the Uzumakis rise once again, that we are brought into the world, not as the world destroyers, but as civilized people who can stand tall, proud of our lineage, proud of our past. Some will die, some will suffer for their action. But as I promise, we will never drive down the path. We will never be corrupted by this world. We have done so many wonders over the years. We have formed bridges and ties with many in secrets. And we will step out better than ever, greater than ever before. I stand here as your son Naruto Uzumaki, and I make you this promise now. I will never fail, he said with a smile. Footsteps could be heard as Naruto looked up. You ready? A voice said. Oh, I didn't mean to, it's okay, Naruto said, as a young woman was standing there. She seemed to be around 17, a year older than Naruto. He was 16 years old now. Over to the side, a young man was there. He seemed to be younger, around 15, his arms folded. He said nothing. Naruto got up as he gazed down towards the grave of Kushina Uzumaki. It was terribly painful to lose her. Even now, it felt like a piece of him had died along with her. She was his everything. She was always there no matter what. His loving mother. But she gave him the strength, the will, the existence to go on, to forge a path, to form a family of his own that she would be proud of, that he should be proud of, to create something, to build something. And he would not fail. Naruto thought with a smile on his face as him and his team moved out. The 4 Uzumakis that were there that night said it themselves. They knew that Kushina, she wouldn't last for long, not forever. They did restore her, but death has a way of claiming whatever tried to escape it. But now Naruto could proudly say that he knew his mother was resting safely in a better place, pure and happy. Naruto made his way. So where to first? The young man questioned. My parents deserve their happily ever after, said Naruto. I'm gonna retrieve my father's soul from the Shinigami's stomach. They both looked at him surprised, but it seems like they were aware that he would do this. You two seem afraid. Are you? He questioned. The young man to his left snarled. Me, afraid? What kind of stupid question is that? The girl relaxed as she looked at him. What is it that we say? We are Uzumakis. We will never fail. But guys, the end episode right here. If you want to see part 2, just go ahead and tell me, and I'll be posting it as soon as possible. But I'm out for now. Peace.